It's a really weird week this week in entertainment. If, like me, you still watch The Walking Dead, you probably lost your head on Sunday. Pun intended. If, like me, you're a fan of the MCU, you're probably scratching your head wondering why, when half of the universe got snapped out of existence, everybody's freaking out to know that Shuri's dead, of all people. If, like me, on Monday you put your head in your hands when you found out that two jobbers from Saturday Night Live are two of the only 3 people announced for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And if, like me, you watch SmackDown, you know that, in fact, Charlotte was ready for Asuka. Oh yes, and everybody's still crying about that one, aren't they? But doesn't change the fact that we gotta flip the script, because now it's Wednesday, we gotta talk about NXT. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your March 27th Finals of the Dusty Tag Team Classic NXT review. Got to get the house cleaning out of the way. As you know, just going to hit on a couple quick things before we get on to this week's episode of NXT. I want you guys to go back one video. I got my fantasy booking hat on once again, did a video called Why Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns is going to determine the WWE and Universal title once we get past WrestleMania. It's a good little bit of fantasy booking. I don't think, you know, WWE doesn't watch my videos by all means, but I still say, and I'm going to overuse this quote until somebody stops me in the immortal words of Adam Cleary, WWE, you can have that one for free. I want to remind you guys once again that either just before or just after WrestleMania, I will be doing the April edition of Ask the Phoenix. So get your questions in to the one that I did, I think, in January. If you want to get your questions done sometime either before or after WrestleMania. I want to bring you guys up to speed on the fact, and obviously this is going to have to do a lot with people's timing, etc. You guys know me, Kristen, Guapo, we do the pay-per-view pick 'em and whatever. I may be doing separate pay-per-view pick 'em videos. We may do a separate video for TakeOver New York and a separate video for WrestleMania. It depends on the size of the shows by the time we get through next week. Depends, as I said, on people's timings, etc. But I'm curious. Let me know down in the box below if it will make any difference to you guys whatsoever if I do those as 2 separate videos. They'll probably, if we do it together, like we normally do the combo, like TakeOver and the pay-per-view video, it'll probably go out on the Thursday night. If I'm able to get my co-hosts together and do them as separate videos, I may do the WrestleMania one right after SmackDown and the TakeOver one right after NXT next week. Although, at this point, I think we know what the cards look like for the most part. Now, on to this week's episode of NXT. We started off with Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. Now, this match is happening because Ciampa got hurt. So how do you sell a pay-per-view main event for a vacant world title in one night? Well, you get Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano out there on microphones, don't you? We get Adam Cole in the ring, the belt is in the ring on the podium, and it's a little symbolic, it's a little sad to see the belt in there still with the Tommaso Ciampa nameplates on it. Now, nobody else has the belt yet, so they wouldn't have switched him yet. But it just reminds us that Ciampa is out and how fucked up his neck is, and anybody that's seen those pictures on Twitter or Instagram, you gotta cringe along with me. But it's also kind of funny when you look on Instagram, Twitter, etc., and you see him like at home convalescing from his surgery, and he's still hugging Goldie. And you know, not only is he not the champion anymore, he doesn't physically have Goldie, so that part of his gimmick is gone too. So that's kind of sad. It doesn't change the fact that this match at TakeOver New York is going to be great. Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, 2 out of 3 falls. Do we need to sell you on that? I mean, yeah, it makes more sense to do Ciampa Gargano because that's the story that's been building for 2 years, etc. But us as fans, if we just say, okay, fuck stories, what would be a good match? You got to tell me Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole wouldn't come up at some point. Now, I will say that what they did here, they totally threw out all the I guess it was the Gargano heel turn. People have been comparing Johnny Gargano to emo Peter Parker. Now that, I know I made an MCU reference earlier, so obviously I'm a bit biased. MCU Spider-Man is the only good Spider-Man. Current Tom Holland Spider-Man is the only good Spider-Man. So I'm not going to acknowledge the Spider-Man that had the emo Peter Parker, because that was really lame. I don't compare Johnny Gargano in that regard either, but basically they've thrown him right back into being younger, better Daniel Bryan again, just because Adam Cole's the heel, and it's good. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. They're doing the best with what they've got. But anyways, Adam Cole comes out, talks about pinning Ricochet, becoming the #1 contender, talks about how he's going to leave Barclays Center as the new NXT champion. I've got a million reasons why I'm going to walk out of TakeOver as the new champion, but I'd rather say it to Gargano's face. So let's get Gargano out here. There's a there's a Johnny Wrestling Adam Cole chant that goes on for a long time, and both of them milk it, and it's really, really good. It's the master. It's not quite the same as Jericho when he was doing the Jeritrolling thing, because that was a little bit different. But these guys, with a glance at the audience, with a moment of silence, these guys conducted this crowd like a fucking orchestra. It was great. And then when it was time to heel it up, Adam Cole grabs the microphone. For the record, I don't need any of your support. I'm going to become NXT champion all by myself. Gargano takes it from there. He says, for the record, I love the Johnny Wrestling chants. And then they let it go again for another, it feels like a minute, but it's probably not. He says he has a million reasons why he's going to win. I want to hear them all. I want to hear them all. I want to hear every single million reasons. And for a second, I thought, and again, I'm going to make reference to Jericho. Jericho in WCW being the man of 1,004 holds when he came out with the big long printer paper with all the, number 45, arm bar. I thought they were going to do something like that. I thought that would have been really on the nose, but it could have been really good. And then when Adam Cole doesn't have an answer for him, honestly, he tells the crowd, he says, I want you to go, your cameras, I want you to mark this down in history. Adam Cole is actually at a loss for words, but he says, you're also in the fight for your life in New York. Ciampa's out. Now my path to that title, to the fulfillment of my dream, goes through you. And why do I think I'm going to win? Because I'm Johnny TakeOver, baby. And Adam Cole makes a decent point here. He says, Johnny TakeOver, that name that you gave yourself, doesn't really scare me. It's more like Johnny Participation, which made me smile. There's a generic statement on certain people in 2019 that everybody wants a participation ribbon. Shannon Townsend, Richard Townsend, the Married Marks Agenda podcast. I'm looking at you. Oh, yes, I am. I can't wait to see how you politically spin the loss of Asuka on SmackDown, because that's going to be a thing, and they're probably going to take some pot shots at me. Moving on. Don't know why I give them the time of day. I really don't. But it is really amusing to watch them spin sometimes. Anyways, he says, let me tell you what I've done at TakeOver. I was the first ever North American champion at TakeOver. Won that great 6-person ladder match, which was fucking amazing. I won the first ever WarGames at TakeOver. I made my debut and beat down the champion Drew McIntyre and held his title over his head at TakeOver. And back at TakeOver, I am going to become the NXT champion. Last week, I beat 4 of NXT's best just to get the chance to fight you. At TakeOver, I'm going to beat you. Gargano, this is where he goes super babyface, out of nowhere like an RKO. I wasn't given the royal treatment like you. I didn't have the carpet rolled out for me like you did. I went to my tryout at Full Sail and they told me no over and over and over again. They told me how undersized I was. I got signed up for the Dusty Classic as a non-contracted competitor in a makeshift tag team with a guy that I barely knew in Tommaso Ciampa. I came to Full Sail. We came to Full Sail. We fought for our lives and we left with no contract, figuring we had no future. They kept on asking us back once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and I poured myself out into this NXT ring. I fight for all of those who get told no. I earned my job. I earned the tag team titles in Toronto, which popped me because I was there, and then it became like, it was the best match of the year that year. It got the, not the Slammy, but the NXT equivalent of the Slammies, those NXT year-end awards, that match they had at TakeOver Toronto. TakeOver Toronto 2, happening this August, and I'm going to be there. It's going to be good. Vintage Dream, I'm going to see you there. Unfortunately, we're not going to see my buddy Okayfabe, but that's another story for another day. I got my career back from Ciampa at NXT TakeOver. I earned the NXT North American Championship at TakeOver. I wasn't handed over the top spot. I wasn't handed some lackeys to watch my back. I'm going to the main event to fight for my dream, and I will be the NXT champion. Drops the mic, goes to leave. Adam Cole goes to leave, and he says, I'm going to be the champion, and here's why. And the rest of Undisputed Era show up on the rampway. It's kind of funny to see them sort of huddled around, because they had the Dusty Classic trophy, and who won the Dusty Classic last year? It was the Undisputed Era, when Roddy Strong turned heel, etc. So to see them all huddled on the stage sort of next to the Dusty trophy made me smile a whole lot. You know, Triple H said this match is going to be unprecedented, but I say this match at NXT TakeOver New York is going to be undisputed. You didn't need to do this promo at all, really. But at the same time, as I said before we started talking about this segment, you want to build a match that has no build, a match that we literally set up last week. Let these guys get in there and do this. As I said, you could have just told people, Gargano, Cole, TakeOver, 2 out of 3 falls, vacant NXT title. But they did so much more in this promo than you ever could, because it reminded you of what Adam Cole has done since he's got there. Even though he's a heel, he's done some really, really credible things. And the Johnny Gargano story, the more you rehash it, the more you want him to win. But I kind of want Adam Cole to win, but that's just me. First match of the night is Vanessa Bourne versus Aaliyah, my hometown girl, taking on Lacey Lane and Kacy Catanzaro. Lacey Lane has an amazing entrance. Sort of makes me think of like a punk rock version of Ember Moon, Finn Balor, with her entrance. And Kacy Catanzaro is just an athletic gymnastic freak. Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah just makes me sad, because what are they doing to my girl Aaliyah? Moving on. Lacey and Aaliyah start the match as a gut shot by Aaliyah and a right hand, some double face buster by Bourne and Aaliyah. A series of kicks and a top rope snapmare by Lacey, boot by Aaliyah, forearms in the corner, trio woe by Bourne, kicking her in the spine, a headbutt and a choke on the ropes. But it doesn't really matter, because out comes Shayna Baszler with the Horsewoman, and they put a quick beat down on Lacey and Kacy, because that rhymes, because WWE does that. The heels have already fucked off. They know better. They're just like, peace, I'm out, whatever the case may be. Lacey and Kacy get a little bit of a beat down. Baszler tries to put in the Coquina Clutch. Not the Coquina Clutch, the Karafuda Clutch. Sorry, my apologies to Samoa Joe, who lost to Kurt Angle on Raw. For reasons. Karafuda Clutch, but Kacy, with all the athletic shit that she does, she reverses out and manages to drop kick the other 2 horsewomen off the apron, but then she gets choked out by Baszler eventually, because she's about this big, and Baszler poses over her with the belt, then goes over to commentary, then yells at the commentators, this is what's going to happen as long as your champion keeps getting disrespected, which is nice, and then she kicks all their stuff off the announce table, poses once again with the belt over the announce table while the commentators look scared, which is... it's very 2019, isn't it? Matt Riddle versus Kona, Don't Call Me The Rock Reeves. Again, not much to this. More about the interruption than the match. Slap by Kona to start, which is just funny. A double leg in the corner by Riddle. Both men trade some shots with a trip and a senton by Riddle. Gut wrench by Riddle, and then we see Velveteen Dream getting rolled out by 2 girls on this big velvety couch. He's got glasses of whatever that he's drinking. He's sort of draped himself over the couch. He's got the North American Championship sort of sitting in his lap, obviously, because these 2 are going to fight at the pay-per-view, so why the hell not? Clothesline against the ropes and a high-angle slam by Kona Reeves, and you almost think that Kona's going to get the quick sort of upset victory here, but it doesn't really happen. Cobra Clutch by Kona Reeves that they call the Kona Clutch, because again it's WWE and that's what they do. They think they're more clever than they actually are. Strikes by Riddle and a Pele, but a ripcord knee by Riddle, some elbow strikes, and the Bro Mission gets the win for Riddle. Riddle then makes his way up the ramp while Velveteen Dream says, I'd like to congratulate the man who gets to experience the Velveteen Dream at TakeOver. Congratulations, Mr. Matthew Riddle. Matt Riddle then approaches where he is on the couch, takes the chalice from him. The chalice thing was a really neat touch. Just sort of chucks the chalice and he says, I'll see you at New York, bro. That's gonna be... I've got my Dark Horse match for WrestleMania already. I think the Dark Horse match of the night... I mean, we're obviously excited. I should have mentioned this before. Becky, Charlotte, Ronda. It's been officially announced. They are the main event. There's both titles in that match. That's fantastic. Congratulations to them. I am saying, unless something drastically changes in the next 10 days or so, that the Dark Horse match of the night is going to be Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. There's just something about that, and I'm going to talk about that more when we do the Pick'em. I don't know what the Dark Horse match for TakeOver is. The Dark Horse match might be Pete Dunne versus Walter, only because I haven't been keeping up on NXT UK. As you guys obviously know, I haven't been doing the reviews, etc. You know, time in real life is a thing. But, you know, Walter and Pete Dunne might be the dark horse match of the night, or it might be Matt Riddle and Dream. Every match is a title match, so there's no match that's just a match. This is why, I mean, I might as well say it now. AJ Styles, Randy Orton is going to be another one of those Randy Orton WrestleMania matches where it's great just as a match. There's no title, there's no stipulation, there's nothing weird, wacky, or special about it. It's just a match, and it's just good like that. He had a match with CM Punk one year at WrestleMania. He had the match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania one year. Those are the two best examples I can think of, and I think AJ Styles is going to fall into that category because there's something different about a match that's just a match for a match's sake. And I think that's a big, whatever you want to call that element, that's what makes a dark horse match. Now, there is no dark horse match per se at TakeOver, because they're all title matches, and some of them even have stipulations attached to them. But I think something's buzzing. Why is that a thing? I think Matt Riddle and Velveteen Dream is going to be your dark horse match of the night. We get the announcement, and I'm only mentioning this because I really love Disturbed, that Are You Ready from their recent album, the name of which has recently just slipped right out of my head, but Are You Ready by Disturbed is one of the themes for TakeOver New York, which is awesome. I like the song. Thought I'd mention it. There we go. Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair is going to take place next week, the last NXT before TakeOver. Gee, I wonder if there's going to be some interference. On to the main event. The main event is the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Classic 2019. The Black and Ricochet. Black and Ricochet versus the Forgotten Sons. Now, I've been saying, you guys know, for the entire expanse of this tournament, it would be really nice if they gave the Forgotten Sons something, but Black and Ricochet are some of the only characters right now in WWE that are across all three brands, other than the women's tag team champions, Bayley and Sasha Banks, who are technically supposed to be on all three brands. Side note again, little shout out to the Iconics getting involved in that four-way at WrestleMania. That's gonna be some good shit in it. But Black and Ricochet, these guys that are getting super exposed by WWE sort of on all fronts, versus the Forgotten Sons, who don't even really have their feet under them in NXT yet, and that's not to take anything away from them. I think they're great. I think they could be great. I think they're way too similar to a couple of very recent factions that have just gone before them. They need to do something to stand out. This could have been it, but they're up against Black and Ricochet, and Black and Ricochet just defeated DIY. So that ain't gonna happen, is it? All four of them brawl to start. The Sons bail. Blake and Black start in the ring. Lariat and a tackle by Blake. Cutler works the arm boot by Black. Drop kick by Ricochet. Head scissor by Ricochet. Apron boot by Black. Suicide corkscrew senton by Ricochet is a fucking thing of beauty, is it not? Cutler and Ricochet brawl to the outside and his forearms by Ricochet. And here is where we tell a nice long story called Let's Fuck Up Ricochet's Spine. Cheap shot. Cheap shot from the... I can't read my own writing. I am very sorry. Cheap shot from the apron by Riker, knee drop by Blake, and a backbreaker and a double backbreaker. I can speak, I swear. Knee drop by Blake, a backbreaker, and a double backbreaker by the Sons. Hard Irish whip into the corner by Cutler, and a crossface with a post in the back. Springboard backbreaker by Cutler, double backbreaker again by the Sons. Back to the posted crossface once again. It's late in the day, guys. I'm very, very sorry. Dropkick by Ricochet. Boots to both the Sons by Black and strikes for everybody as he comes in off the hot tag. Moonsault by Black. Double underhook backbreaker by Cutler. Working the back of Black now. Head scissor by Ricochet, who's not really selling the back, but whatever. It's Ricochet. It's what he does. Boot and a Nidiora by Alistair Black. Ricochet and Blake. Knew that was going to fuck me up at some point. Ricochet and Blake trade some uppercuts. Ricochet hits a suplex. A poison Rana by Blake, but Ricochet lands on his fucking feet. Oh yes. Black Mass by Alistair Black. Backstabber elbow drop combination by the Sons. Riker gets tossed out for trying to interfere. Once again, Black Mass and a moonsault to the outside by Alistair Black. Inside the ring, you get a 630 from Ricochet. Black and Ricochet win. They win the Dusty Cup. They win the #1 contendership for TakeOver. The War Raiders come out, stare them down, and that's how we go off the air. So, if this week you were upset by fan favorites getting decapitated and people getting snapped out of existence and celebrities taking up space in our meaningless battle royal at WrestleMania, or Asuka losing her title to Charlotte, who doesn't deserve it and is the Roman Reigns of the women's division. At least you've got NXT. At least you've got TakeOver to look forward to. And what does TakeOver look like? Now, you got War Raiders versus Black and Ricochet. How fun is that going to be? Baszler versus Sane versus Shirai versus Belair. And you've got Belair versus Kairi Sane next week. You got Matt Riddle versus Dream, Pete Dunne versus Walter, and Cole versus Organo. 2 out of 3 falls for Tommaso Ciampa's vacant NXT championship. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again this week. Are you excited for WrestleMania weekend yet? I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.